I'll go even further. This is not even to say that there's never a role for violence in public life. Of course there is. There is such a thing as just wars. There is justified violence in self-defense, for instance. There's justified violence after due process when the civil authority punishes criminals. It's not even to say that violence in itself is always terrible and evil.
Hey guys, welcome back to Future News Network. Today we're watching Michael Knowles talk with Megyn Kelly about the visas of students on Harvard and them getting kicked out because they spoke harshly about Israel. Some in more extreme ways than others. Stick around, you're going to want to see it. It's great stuff. If you like my stuff, hit me with a like and a subscribe, and we're going to hop right in.
It's so annoying to me. No one's saying that the people on the College of Columbia directly caused that guy to unleash this violence, but it would be asinine to not note this is exactly the same rhetoric we're hearing on these far-left college campuses from coast to coast. Obviously, this guy is rattled. He was an eyewitness to it, but you're not allowed to make that connection on CNN, Michael. You're not.
Left-wing speech does breed lots of violence.
Not allowed to say, gee, I don't really like these chants being allowed everywhere because it's endorsing something that, you know what, kind of feels a little genocide-y, kind of feels a little murdery.
Yeah, kind of feels a little gross, doesn't it? Calling for the deaths of many people. Pretty gross stuff, guys.
And now we've had 2 pro-Israel Israeli embassy workers killed.
Are you worried about the conflation of these two groups of people? Well, they're saying the same thing, and they say that they want the same thing. So, yeah, I think we could probably conflate them. That CNN lady did an earnest performance of a Norm Macdonald comedy bit. There's a great Norm Macdonald bit where he says, my greatest fear is that Muslim radicals will get a dirty bomb and set it off in a major city and kill tens of millions of people, because then the backlash against peaceful Muslims would be terrible. That was a comedy bit that he did. And the CNN lady is performing that as though it were earnest.
We don't see much of that. They say that Iran is the largest sponsor of state terrorism, but have we seen any major bombings from the Iranian state or from Muslims in America in any major fashion since 9/11? There's been the one-off bombing, but you don't see as much as they would like you to fear.
This is the conclusion of the Free Palestine stuff. I talked about this on my show yesterday or 2 days ago. I mean, really spooky timing. I said, I'm sorry, I just can't get on board with the Free Palestine movement because I've yet to hear a coherent argument as to how what they want makes any sense. I've yet to hear a coherent argument that the state of Israel is not justified in going to war in Gaza or even continuing the war because the hostages are still being held. I've yet to hear a coherent argument for bringing this movement into the right-wing coalition.
The bombings are a bit out of control. I mean, if you've seen what Gaza and Palestine look like, they look like rubble, and they do bomb indiscriminately. I know that they put their terrorists underground and they have to get to them somehow, and they'll often use women and children as human shields. All this stuff is true. I don't know if they're going in with the scalpel that they should have done, but I understand that there's attackers. They are attacking Israel all the time.
And I know that there are some people who are a little more favorable to the Free Palestine thing, but I said just as a basic matter of political coalitions, the Free Palestine movement is led by frothing leftist lunatics who are inclined toward violence. The Free Palestine movement is led by Greta Thunberg and the Columbia graduate students and Islamists. Somehow the Islamists are the most sensible people in the movement. That's not a good sign. And so it just doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't take a genius. It doesn't take a political philosopher to realize that the logical conclusion of revolution, intifada, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, blot out the Jews in the Middle East. It doesn't take a genius to recognize that when people who are already inclined toward violence in politics state those things, you're going to get political violence.
It's unfortunate that a lot of the people that are humanitarian and don't want to see the deaths of the Palestinians and the people that are on the Gaza Strip are getting conflated with these more extreme people. I'm a humanitarian myself. I do not want to see women and children being murdered, being starved. These are horrible, horrible things. Absolutely horrible things.
Not to mention, CNN, that one reporter, he interviewed Taylor Lorenz. They're laughing about Luigi, like he's been lionized over there. Not to mention They had Caitlin Collins out there promoting his crowdfunding.
The left has a way of propping up some of the worst people imaginable. I don't know why they do it. It's terrible for the movement. They glorify violence in a lot of ways. They are extremists in a lot of ways.
And link. Maybe now might be a time to be a little bit more careful in how you handle these stories. It's possible you've been a little too slow to connect these messages to resulting violence, right? You've been a little too quick to fan the flames or to tamp down the flames, connecting all this rhetoric and then resulting violence. I just, like CNN, I don't know what they're doing over there, but it's not journalism. She immediately pivoted. Why don't you just get his story? Get his testimonial. This is how he feels. Shut the fuck up with your justifications of what we're hearing on college campuses. It's so annoying to me. He just watched 2 people get shot to death. He's upset. He's drawing a comparison to the rhetoric he's been hearing for 2 years now on college. Let him have his say, Sarah.
You should see some of these signs that these people have as they're coming out from the river to the sea. There's some major aggression. I mean, it's like the signs that you saw back during the civil rights movement, like no black people in my school, no black people at my water fountain. As much as I don't like what the Israelis are doing in that region, doesn't mean you can cast out an entire group of people in such a way that does make them feel unsafe. I mean, the growing resentment to the Israel party and Israelis and Jewish people is huge. It is huge. I mean, it's undeniable, isn't it?
Not for you to try to cleanse his opinions.
That CNN lady is demonstrating the suicidal impulse within liberalism, which is that whenever they see any political action, they see a clear perpetrator and they see a clear victim, and they say, well, it has to be the opposite. They always have to immediately take the side of the perpetrator and always immediately neglect the victim, even when the political action is so clear as a murderer murders a young couple of civilians.
Yeah, they'll defend some of the worst things imaginable.
This is not to say that the Israel-Palestine issue is without nuance and complexity and totally clear-cut. I recognize there's been a lot of nuance and complexity to this issue, not only for about 100 years, but really for centuries and even millennia. However, I want nothing to do with the Free Palestine movement. And I think that people need to have some moral clarity here, okay?
It's just been ideologically captured. That's all. I mean, it's not like there isn't good people in the Free Palestine movement. There certainly is. There's like I said, humanitarian people who don't want to see people starving. If you see some of the footage that comes out of the Gaza Strip and in Palestine, it could break your damn heart. It really could. I mean, are you heartless? Do you not want these people to be fed like regular people? We got to be better as people. But when it comes to revenge and the extremism that a lot of the left takes on after that, maybe reparations is something you could talk about. Like, oh, well, you bombed a bunch of women and children. Maybe you should pay the Palestinian people. Maybe you should give them some more food or whatnot so that they could live. Wouldn't that be nice? But when it comes to revenge, you can't get me on the revenge thing.
Just as a rule of thumb, you don't need to understand all of the complexity to realize that when the worst people on earth are all supporting one side, one political movement, if you are a sensible, reasonable person, should say, wow, I don't agree with these people on anything, on basically any other issue. So no, I probably shouldn't be on their side when it comes to this issue.
Yeah, same. I've said before, it's totally fine to criticize Israel. It is fine to think that they've over-responded to the horrific attack.
Don't let Ben Shapiro, who you say that, Megyn Kelly. He's going to whip Mr. Knowles over here for for allowing you to get away with saying that.
That they suffered on 10/7. But you don't run around chanting, globalize the intifada, and from the river to the sea, all of the, like, these are violent. These are calling for violence. That's really what they are. It's different. Free Palestine, okay, that one, yeah, I understand. That's less controversial. But these chants that we've been hearing on college campuses as these activists harass Jewish students, in some cases assault Jewish students.
Well, what does Free Palestine even really mean? Does it mean free the Palestinian people that are being subjugated by the terrorists within Palestine? Is that Free Palestine, or does Free Palestine mean free it all up? What the hell does that even mean? Free it from control from the Jewish state? Possibly.
And then if I hear one more person try to tell me that, oh no, these are Jewish students doing the violence on college campuses, like Jewish Voices for Peace. It's such a joke. This is not a pro-Israel group. This is not even really a pro-Jewish group. This is a group of radicals who are pro-Hamas, who are masquerading as Jewish people who speak for Jewish people, and they're not. In any event, it's infuriating. And now 2 people are dead. And my understanding is, yeah, go ahead.
I'll go even further. You know, this is not even to say that there's never a role for violence in public life. Of course there is. There is such a thing as just wars. There is justified violence in self-defense, for instance. There's justified violence after due process when the civil authority punishes criminals.
There's certainly a place for justified violence. It's uncanny to some people, but I mean, small revolutions happen all the time.
Not even to say that violence in itself is always terrible and evil. But in this case, listen to the arguments that these people are making. The free Palestine from the river to the sea, Israel or Palestine will be free, is a call at the very least for ethnic cleansing, if not genocide. Doesn't take a genius political philosopher to understand that. These kinds of arguments that the people are making are arguments not only against the state of Israel, or not even arguments against Jews or Zionism. They're arguments against imperialism. They're arguments in favor of radical liberation. They're arguments in some cases in favor of Islamism.
Yeah, you might not like what the Israelis are doing, and the left and the right have kind of converged together on the Israel issue. It's just that the left goes a lot farther than the right might.
Islamic government. These are arguments that we would not accept on any other front, that we disagree with at a fundamental philosophical level. And so if there's been ambiguity, if there's been some lack of clarity up until now, well, now you're seeing the logical conclusion of those arguments made by the people who favor unjust political violence in many other circumstances and with which we have basically nothing in common.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's why Marco Rubio is ejecting these people from college campuses. I mean, truly, you're here on a student visa. Sorry, it's a privilege. You come over to my house for dinner and you behave badly, I can throw you out. It doesn't matter. I don't care whether you're here on a visa or you're not.
If I went to Megyn Kelly's house for dinner, I would behave like a gentleman. Absolutely. I would go in, I would eat the dinner, I'd have a beautiful conversation, and then I would leave elegantly.
Not here. You're here by invitation, and you can be ejected by my whim. You have no right to be in my home. And that's how Marco Rubio is treating these student visas on college campuses. He got into this. I'll show you. I'm going to get to.
I mean, we should be careful with this. Don't paint a broad brush. Use a scalpel when you want to kick these people out. Just because you were in the march and you got caught up in something like that, should you be sent home? I don't know. Maybe you should be a little bit nervous about what you say if you're on a visa. That's possibly true. But what are you going to do? You're just a college kid. You're going and everybody's getting together. Think about how impressionable college kids are in a lot of ways. Should we kick them out because they got wrapped up with some of the more radical leftists? Just because that guy's sign next to me says, kill all the Jews. My sign doesn't say that. My sign says stop, starving and murdering them. Right? Does that sound good? Does that sound fair? You know what I mean?
Something else that happened on the murders. But he got into this with Representative Jaya.
Don't need guilt by association.
Powell, this squad member, on Wednesday at a hearing of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, because he is trying to eject this Tufts PhD student who wrote this op-ed in the student paper that was basically aligning with the Free Palestine crowd. And he suggested he has more than that. 2 courts have looked at it and said he doesn't have more than that, and that this is a matter of free speech. It doesn't matter. She has the right to say whatever she wants, sure, while she's here in America. And he has the right to say, I've heard enough. You're out of here. She has no right, based on a student visa, to stay. He can say, I don't agree with those views. They don't align with the foreign policy of this administration. Go home. But watch this exchange between Rubio and Jayapal.
That law student was a guest in the United States on a student visa. No one's entitled to a student visa.
So you revoked her
every
student
day,
visa based on an op-ed which trumps the supreme law of the land, which is the Constitution.
Someone's coming up here to stir up problems on our campus. We're going to revoke their visa.
She didn't do any of that.
It's a visa. They're not a citizen. They have rights of a certain sense, but they do not have all the rights of America.
She wrote an op-ed.
Well,
she wrote an op-ed, and I'm talking to you about her particular case.
Claims and your claims. Those are not the facts.
You reclaiming my time. You revoked her student visa.
Yes.
She's got some real buggy eyes, right? Guys, is that too judgmental?
Because she wrote an op-ed.
And
Would you revoke?
We're going to do more. Totally different process.
Secretary Rubio.
Visas are a privilege.
Secretary
we deny
Rubio,
them all the time, and we'll revoke
revoked
them.
a visa based on an op-ed, and then you allowed for masked men to snatch.
Also, I think, is it just me, guys, or is this like white girl water bottle a little distasteful to have in Congress? You know what I mean? Like, maybe shouldn't this be like a glass or something? Like, this is too casual. Am I right? Not very professional. Not a big. That's a little pet peeve of mine. You know, like, if you're gonna be an elected person who's supposed to represent me, I want you to be the best. And I don't want you to have your little water bottle like you're taking a hike on and be sitting in the chambers of Congress and leading the people, and the people we're supposed to believe in. Have a little bit more respect, don't you think? Don't you think?
Somebody off the street.
Your time's expired. That's your claim. That's not accurate.
Recognized ranking.
I mean, Michael, honestly, even if it is accurate, like, okay, you know, she's made a position clear. He's the Secretary of State. He's not real pro on the, you know, divest from Israel or else crowd. And we've seen what they do. This July.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for this one. What'd you think? I think I'm a little bit of two minds about it. I don't want guilt by association going on. That is a very bad practice to get into as a country in a lot of ways. There's lots of problems with kicking people out for being anti-Israel. It is not a great look as a country, and it does further the combined thought process of America that Israel has a little bit too much control over our country. It's giving off that vibe, and vibe checks are in count. And if you like the vibes here on this channel, please hit it with a like and subscribe. I will be making shows every day for you. So I will see you in the next one.